Hi everyone, anxiety after 40. Welcome to this fantastic live training, Anxiety After 40, the perimenopause connection. It is so lovely to have you with me. Anxiety After 40, the perimenopause connection. So nice to have you with me, beautiful women. My name's Tori Vallen. I'm a women's integrative nutrition and lifestyle coach. I'm also a functional weight loss specialist and a hormones educator. Today, talking about a really important subject that so many women tell me that they carry with them. It's a really difficult one for them. They don't quite know where to turn. They don't always get the answers that they need. They don't always get the support that they're seeking. It's anxiety after the age of 40. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere. Sometimes it's been simmering away for a little while and worsens. Racing heart, feelings of dread and panic in the middle of the night, or just a sense that you can't cope anymore. It might even show up with some apathy as well. We're going to break it all down today. What you're probably tired of is being told it's just stress. Maybe what you don't want is just to be handed a prescription. But what I want for you is that by the end of this session, you understand exactly what's driving it and why that will change everything for you. Because the truth I want to keep coming back to again and again is that anxiety is a symptom, not just a diagnosis. It is a diagnosis, but anxiety is a symptom. And we want to unpack symptoms. We want to find out what's driving them. If you've just joined me, please say hi in the comments. I'd love to know who's here. So I want to start with this topic of anxiety is never just anxiety, okay? We're going to talk about why your brain's natural calming chemical balance is changing over the age of 40. We're in a different stage of life now, hormonally. So anxiety is never just anxiety. You ever been to a doctor or to a health professional and described how you're feeling and had them say to you, "Oh, have you tried managing your stress?" Or maybe they just offered you an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication for something that just suddenly appeared in your 40s or suddenly was exacerbated in your 40s. And you're probably feeling like, okay, but there must be a reason why I'm feeling this way, and I'd really like to find out what it is. So let's talk today about a few hormonal reasons why you might have developed anxiety. So the first one, a key reproductive hormone, progesterone. Progesterone doesn't just matter for our menstrual cycle. It's not just a result of ovulation. It has some really important roles to play in the body. It's actually one of our brain's most powerful calming compounds. Progesterone converts to a steroid hormone that's called allopregnanolone. Allopregnanolone activates our GABA receptors. Yeah? I'm just going to say that again so that it makes sense. So progesterone converts into a steroid hormone called allopregnanolone. Allopregnanolone activates our GABA receptors on our cells. You've probably all heard about GABA. GABA's pretty famous around these parts. It's your brain's brake pedal. It's a very calming neurotransmitter. We call it an inhibitory neurotransmitter. And that's its job, to help calm down neural activity, quieten down overexcited nervous system. When we have plenty of GABA, when GABA is sufficient, you're able just to switch off, you won't overthink, you can tolerate stress better, you can sleep. When GABA is low or poorly activated, then the nervous system just kind of runs wild and like there's nothing there to kind of bring it back down. So the part that matters for you is that in perimenopause, we know that progesterone declines first, often quite rapidly. It can be quite a rapid drop-off. and it happens before estrogen drops in perimenopause. So as progesterone drops, allopregnanolone drops with it. And so we don't have this same break on our nervous system anymore. But what I want you to understand about that is racing thoughts and feeling irritable and not being able to switch off at nighttime doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your personality. It doesn't mean that you're just a really anxious person, highly strung. It doesn't mean anything like that. It's neurochemistry. It's the neurochemical consequence of this hormonal shift and losing your brain's natural Valium. And I don't say natural Valium to try and be funny. I mean it quite literally, because Valium works by enhancing GABA receptor activity in the brain. And so GABA to your brain is what Valium mimics. Same chemical effect. So there's no need to blame yourself or feel that you're silly. It's just a time to start looking at what are the actual drivers here. So anxiety is never just anxiety. There's always a reason. That's why we're here today talking about some of the reasons. So I want you to type reason in the comments if that makes sense to you. Give me a big reason in big capital letters. All right, so let's talk about why it can feel like suddenly everything is just a little bit too much and we start to suddenly struggle with overwhelm. You might have noticed that the feeling of anxiety doesn't usually come on its own. It will often come with low mood, teariness, feeling like you can't cope. It might feel a bit like things that you always coped with before that were totally fine. Suddenly you can't cope with that sort of stuff anymore. It all feels enormous now, where the same things before wouldn't have felt quite so big. And it makes you wonder what on earth is wrong with you. So what's going on is another one of our reproductive hormones, estrogen, actually supports serotonin. It supports how much of it we make, but it also supports how well the brain is responding to it, how sensitive the brain is to serotonin. Estrogen supports dopamine too. Dopamine is our motivation and our pleasure and our ability to concentrate and our resilience. So when perimenopausal shifts happen, and estrogen, it doesn't actually just decline. That would be really nice if it just gently declined. It doesn't. It actually, in a lot of women, fluctuates erratically. So it can be quite high some days, and then other days it can really crash down. So your serotonin signaling is unstable, just like your estrogen. It's as unstable as your estrogen is. The emotional buffer that you had before, where there was a ton of available serotonin and dopamine, gone. It's like you don't have the shock absorbers on the car anymore. This is why anxiety shows up along with low mood and also emotional reactivity. It's the hormone stabilizing mood chemistry. It used to be, just there and very stable. Now it's like a roller coaster. And your feelings of being motivated and feeling pleasure and the ability to bounce back quickly from things, all of those different abilities are all taking a hit all at the same time. And it might feel like a relief to attend an appointment and receive a diagnosis. But a diagnosis doesn't actually help us understand why this came to be, much less what we can actually do about it to help. So why did it come to be? It's neurochemical changes with hormonal drivers. which means it is addressable. It means we can support it. It means we don't always have to live like this. If you've just joined the call, I would love for you to say hello. Tell me where you're joining from. If you're a new person to my community, please say hi. I would love to welcome you to our group. So for some women, it can feel like panic just comes out of nowhere. Have you ever had that? Racing heart, chest gets tight, or you might just feel this like wave of dread and fear. It feels like nothing outside of you actually happened to cause all of that. And you might get a diagnosis of panic disorder. It can actually create a lot of fear about your own body. Like it can make you feel completely out of control with your own body. My body just does this and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's not even a thought or an event that's creating it to happen. It just happens. So what's really going on? When cortisol is chronically elevated, as it is for so many women, and there are perimenopausal reasons too why we're more likely to have chronically elevated cortisol through the season of our life. But that chronically elevated cortisol ramps up activity in your amygdala, your brain's threat detector. The amygdala, hi Minna, it's so nice to have you here, darling. The amygdala in your brain actually grows bigger when cortisol is chronically elevated. And when the amygdala is grown in size, it does that on purpose. It's a very good survival mechanism. It does that so that it can become hypersensitive to threat detection. So little tiny things, small stressful things that otherwise might not bother you, they feel like a big threat, a big danger. While the amygdala has grown in size, the hippocampus, which regulates our reasoning and rational memory, gives us context for situations, that bit actually shrinks. And so the experience we have is we can feel always on edge and we can overreact to things that would never have bothered us before, and we can be quite unable to talk ourselves down because that part of the brain that controls the context and the calm gets just outsized by the part of the brain that needs to scan for threat. And I find it really interesting that health professionals aren't talking about a major driver of this, which is blood sugars. When your blood sugar crashes, your body has to do something about that because that's not a very safe situation. And the thing that your body does about this is it pumps out cortisol and adrenaline to rescue your blood sugar and raise it back up again. And when that happens, we feel the chemical effects of the adrenaline and the cortisol. We feel it with the racing heart. And we feel it with the emotion of, gosh, there must be a threat, dread, muscles can tighten, muscles around the chest tightness. So there may be no psychological trigger at all. This is chemical anxiety. And we call it panic disorder, or we give it a name. But often the driver is unstable blood sugars, and the body's just responding to that. The really good news about that is that, well, first of all, I just want to say you can't meditate your way out of blood sugar crash by the way. You can't meditate your way out of it. But you absolutely can change how frequently it offers, and you can stabilize your blood sugars. A really easy way to do that is to change what you eat and when, and the composition on your plate. You can also alter your life so that particular stresses, and when I talk about stresses, I don't just mean mental and emotional stresses. I'm also talking about physical and chemical stressors on our body, that they don't impact our blood sugars so much. So the panic that we feel suddenly, it can feel really random, but it's not actually random. If there's a mechanism behind it, and the mechanism is something we can work with. And this is why so many women on the Radiant Health Reset feel better and notice that their anxiety is significantly improved. One such reason is we're stabilizing their blood sugars. So I want you to type sugars for me. If you've never heard this connection before, if you've never understood this connection before between your feelings of anxiety and your panic and your body's blood sugars, I want you to type sugars for me. All right, there's always a little bit of a delay with comments, so we'll keep moving through. Anxiety is not necessarily coming from the brain. It might surprise you to know this. You could be doing all the right things in terms of mindset work. We could be doing talking therapies. We could be doing somatic therapies. We could be doing breath work, and we could still feel anxious. And when that's happening, yeah, I'm glad that's making sense for you, Minna. And when that's happening, what's often not explained to women is this: about 90% of our serotonin is being synthesized in the small intestine, not in our brain, in the gut. And so when the gut is inflamed and the microbiome in the gut is disrupted, we have an imbalance in the microbiome. Serotonin production drops big time. Now, why would the small intestine be inflamed? The food that we're eating isn't what we need. It's alcohol, could be medications. Maybe those are medications that bring benefits, but they also bring the drawback of creating inflammation in the gut. The stress we're experiencing in our lives, the thoughts and beliefs that we have, the toxins that we expose ourselves to through glug, 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 or slathering stuff on our skin. So the inflammation in the gut is disrupting our body's ability to synthesize adequate serotonin. And so we're trying to operate with less. The raw materials that our brains need aren't actually being made in the volume that we require them. And it goes further. Inflammatory signals in the gut travel up the vagus nerve directly to the brain and create neuroinflammation. And women come to me and they always mention a foggy brain. Oh, so much brain fog, right? Foggy brain, leaky gut, leaky brain. It travels up the vagus nerve. We say what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. What happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. What happens in the gut travels to the brain too. People talk a lot about leaky gut and they don't talk a lot about leaky brain. They're almost always paired together. You can feel like you're doing everything right, but still have real clinical anxiety with chemical drivers because it wasn't coming just from the mind and from the nervous system, but it's coming from the gut also. We have to work on all of it. We can't just do the breath work, the therapies, the somatic work, the emotional work. We can't just do those therapies and not work on the gut. We have to address the food and the stress and the toxins. And we got to address the sleep too. And we've got to move in the right way. It's all important. And that is why our feelings of anxiety so frequently improve when we address gut health. Even if we didn't do any of the psychological or the somatic work at all, we could still get significant improvement if we work on the gut. So anxiety is the most wonderful symptom that shows us where we need to be working. And we can be very, very grateful for that gift of anxiety. If you've never thought about it in that way before, that anxiety, one of anxiety's root causes is poor gut health, then I want you to type root cause for me in the comments so that I know whether this is valuable information to you. Root cause in the comments. All right. Well, ladies, if there's only one thing that you walk away with today, I want you to understand that if you're starting to experience feelings of anxiety over the age of 40, it's not a personality change. This is not just who you are now. It's not always just the traumas we've experienced in our life. It's also the declining of progesterone, the fluctuating estrogen. It's the dysregulated nervous system, but it's also compromised gut health. And every single one of those drivers is addressable and supportable, which is exactly what we do inside Radiant Health Reset. And we have so many amazing stories of women who've come with aims of improving their mood, improving their feelings of apathy, or improving their panic or their anxiety or their depression. We had Carly, who a few weeks into our program said, oh my gosh, I'm staying positive. I'm not snapping at the kids anymore. Leandra just recently has talked about how her emotional stability has improved so much. Her daughter noticed the change and sent something to her, best compliment you could ever receive. And she feels so empowered now because she feels like she has a choice over her reactions. So exciting. So many other stories I could tell you about women who've had extraordinary emotional shifts. We've got Sarah in the program right now who felt like she was just the biggest ball of stress before doing Radiant Health Reset. Now her migraines have disappeared. She can feel that she's not holding tension in her muscles anymore. Isn't that so exciting? So the doors are open right now, but they're only open for a very short time. We're just opening this week. If you are interested in Radiant Health Reset, you need to let me know, ideally today. I want you to type the word radiant in big capital letters if you would like to receive some more information. We start on Monday and we onboard this week, so we don't have much time to lose. I so hope you will join me. We get the most extraordinary outcomes inside that incredible program. Well, the takeaway today, your body's sending you a signal if you're feeling anxious. Now you know why that's happening and what you can do to support it. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye now.